Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the instant match reaction. Manchester City 2, Everton 0. Yeah, I mean, I could probably just leave it there, couldn't I? I could probably just move on and leave it there. No, listen, Everton. I mean, let's be honest. Everton did everything they could for 70 minutes. And in the end, there's no stopping Manchester City. Is that they didn't have a shot on target for 70 minutes, and then the first shot they have, it ends up in the back of the net, and that's just the way it is at the end of the day when you play Manchester City. They have, Erling Haaland has 2 shots on target and scores both of them. There's not really loads more to say. I'd say we earn in there with a plan, and the plan was working for the most part. Getting men behind the ball, getting stopping the shots, making blocks, trying to maybe nick things in the final third. And for 70 minutes or so, it pretty much was going along. They were putting on pressure, but I just thought that we were dealing with it. And I suppose the disappointing part is the goal does come from a set piece. Now, whether it was a set piece or not, I'm not really sure. They had the corner, and the corner that came in, and I couldn't tell you whose header came off. And if you can't tell you whose header came off, then it's generally looked at as a goal kick. And then the second one, we don't deal with the first header. I think McPartland gets beaten in the air, and then it's just bouncing around. And Haaland, Haaland and only a few people could smash the ball in with that kind of ferocity from that kind of position. And it is the pace that beats Jordan Pickford in the end. And it's 1-0, and from 1-0, your game plan's basically gone, isn't it? You haven't really got much else. And I do see people comment on Everton's standards dropping, and the way we play or whatever. But the reality of the situation is, Manchester City's bench is better than our first team, and that's the reality of the situation. Manchester City bringing on Kevin De Bruyne is just, what's the point? We said this loads of times. It's the way football is now. It's just a joke. The idea that you can go toe-to-toe against City in a game, and when you are miles less quality than they are, it's just fanciful. To be honest, it is. People who just get in there, have a go. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. If you think like that, then I don't think modern football is for you, because Man City are a machine, and they are fully in top gear now and moving through. And what can you do when you look at Everton's team? I think there was a thing said on this commentary, or one of the commentary said that Jack Grealish cost more than Everton's starting 11. And he's sitting on the bench. I mean, what can you honestly do against that? Until Everton are in a position where they can do better with their finances and find young talent, then what can you do? I don't think any other manager would have done anything different to what Sean Dyche did today. We've also, don't forget the injuries as well. Onana on the bench, no Decore. Even someone like Dan Juma would have, can give you an option. Nowhere as good as Man City's options, but sometimes you just have to look at a game, and I think a lot of people did before the game, looked at a game like that and thought, let's just get through this, come out of the other side with no injuries or no suspensions, and move on to the next one. And we did that, and for the most part, I think most players played well today. I think they really did. I think they really did. And no one's making excuses. There's people in the comments, and you haven't got a Scooby-Doo what you're talking about. Making excuses. Who's making excuses? Look at the teams. They are literally the world champions. Give your head a wobble. Some people still live in 1985. Honestly, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Some people still think that Everton can go to Manchester City and go toe-to-toe with them. It's absolute nonsense. 10 years ago, or it's over 10 years ago now, when Everton did have the likes of Cahill and Arteta, back to like the late 2000s, when we did have Arteta and Cahill and people like that, you could have a go with them. You could do something. Look at the players we've got on the pitch. Look at the players that we've got on the pitch. They are just bang average, bar a couple of exceptions, which, won't be at the club very long. And you're playing against the team that can leave Jack Grealish and can leave Kevin De Bruyne on the bench. It's mad. It is absolutely mad. I don't know how anyone, honestly, could be angry about that result, honestly. The two benches, Walker, Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Oscar Bob would get in our team easily. Rico Lewis, he'd walk into our team. Our bench was Dobbin, Hunt, Chimiti, Seamus Coleman, Beto, Onana, Keane and Patterson. Honestly, people need to absolutely grow up about this situation. Everton, this is we take positives from this and we move on now to Crystal Palace at home a week on Monday, and that's all we can do. Not many teams are going to go to the Etihad and do much against City this season. Yeah, and people will go with different ways, by the way. People will go and have a go at them and get beat. People will try and defend and get beat. But only the top sides, like possible when they play Liverpool in a few weeks, will really give them a game. So honestly, I do find some opinions staggering when it comes to when you're playing like a Man City. And I thought we did most things right today until, as I said, you drop off for one minute. They just wear you down. And we saw that for the second goal. They've encouraged us to move up the pitch, and we have, and we've left a one-on-one with Haaland and Branthwaite. And Branthwaite, to be fair, should have just, and he'll learn, cut off the space. Don't engage with the player, cut off the space and go as long, and try and force him where he doesn't want to go. And he didn't. He got a bit too tight, and the strength of Haaland shrugged him off, and then he goes over and probably looks worse than it is. But you don't engage Haaland, I don't think, like that. I think you try and cut off the space as much as you can and push him. You push him onto his right foot, and push him wide, and they make it two, and need to massively improve our player level, don't we? That's how we get close to a team like Manchester City. Is sadly it was offside. We move on to Crystal Palace next week. We take the positive. I think one of the big things obviously today was we didn't have a set piece. We didn't have a corner, sorry. So no, that's our biggest threat, isn't it? Scoring goals. Yeah. We need points. Of course we need points. But did anyone actually believe we were going to go there today and pick up points? I just think some people live in fantasy land. Absolute cloud cuckoo land, some people. We've played in the turn since the turn of the new year, or since before Christmas. We've played Spurs away, City at home, Wolves away, which was the low point. Then we've played Villa at home, Fulham away, Spurs at home, and now Manchester City. That's a tough run. That is a tough run of games, and we're through that now. And we've still got Palace, Brentford, Forest, West Ham, Burnley, and Sheffield United to play at home. they're the games we have to get something out of. And if we don't get wins out of those games, certainly 5 of those games, I'd say, then yes, we can. They're the ones where you have a conversation about what is going on and why we aren't winning those games. But it is what it is today. It's a defeat. I don't like saying it's an expected defeat, but let's be honest. And we go to Man City, it's never easy. I know we got a point there last year, but today we just didn't have that threat. We just didn't have that threat today. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was isolated up front. I think he should have done better, certainly in the first half, with his possession, how he used the ball. But that's it. We move on. We move on. And again, as I said, it's difficult because the players we have on the bench, there aren't many that are available to come on and say, right, I'm going to take your place. Onana, yes, and Doucouré's not back. Hopefully Doucouré will be back for Palace. Onana will gives us an option for Palace, and that's a game where you look at and think we have to win that game. And it is the way it is. A lot of people getting bent out of shape about Luton. I keep on stressing this. I've said this a few times to Baz on the channel. I don't know why people are getting bent out. Forest are the ones for me. Forest are the ones we should be looking at and thinking if they get a points deduction as well, then they're the ones that we need to drag into it. But there's some huge games ahead, and they're the ones for me we should be not concentrating on. You have to concentrate every game. You can get something out of every game, like we proved last season at Manchester City. But today wasn't our day. It wasn't meant to be our day today. They got the 2 goals late on, and they deserved it. They deserved to win it. I don't know what would have changed it. As I said, I don't know what different tactics we would have played to make us better. I don't know what people are watching every week to suggest we have a different way of playing. I don't know what people are watching to suggest we've got these amazing players that are going to do amazing things. I don't believe we do. I think we are a very hard-working football side that really doesn't have much more than a long ball and set pieces and the occasional strike from the edge of the box. That's just my opinion. People might have different opinions. I don't see it. I don't see what people think we have that is going to do different things, because McNeil certainly hasn't got the pace. Harrison hasn't got the pace. We don't have a midfielder other than Doucouré who really breaks the lines. So if someone can explain that to me, I don't know. I don't know. The simple fact is, you go into those games organised and you try and force situations like we did last week with set pieces. That's what we're trying to do. Today we didn't get the set pieces. We didn't get into those areas. Are we beaten before we start? No, because the manager sets us up to try and make sure we don't concede goals and try and get something. That's the situation. That is the situation. And today we couldn't force the corners. We couldn't force the set pieces. So we'll see what happens. Listen, I'm not the one being people out there being negative. I'm not the one being negative, because I think the way we play, whether you think it's a negative way of playing, is the best way we can get out of this. If people want to see us playing free flow and passing football, then that's when Everton will be absolutely destroyed for me, and we'll see us not pick up points. Being hard working and grinding out results and getting clean sheets is what has got us points so far this year in terms of the draws. If we'd been free flowing in some of those games, we wouldn't have got anything out of them, and that's just fact, because we haven't got good enough players. We have not got good enough players. So we move on. We move on to next week. We move on to Palace, and hopefully that is a big game next week. The week after now is a huge game. A week on Monday against Palace. Those home games are the ones we have to start picking up wins from. But other than that, if you're really fuming about losing to that Manchester City side, then I think you might have to reevaluate how you watch football, or give Everton a wide berth for a while, because this is the actual reality of the situation. This is the actual reality of the situation. World's best team against an Everton team which cost the same amount as Jack Grealish. That's the reality of the situation. A bench that they can bring 3 players on, or 4 players that are would get in most teams in the Premier League. Like probably get in any team in the Premier League. Sorry, not most teams, any team in the Premier League, whether it be Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal. That's the reality, and you have to look at stuff with reality more than anything else. So there you go. I'll be back doing my play ratings in a bit. Make sure you check out Baz's videos as well, and I'll speak to you later. See you later.